Hi everyone, welcome to the fresh episode of AI Makers Unpacked series. AI Makers Unpacked series is what I call a professional profiling of the eminent AI analytics leaders in the industries. We have covered numerous leaders in the past. More importantly, there has never been a series where the leaders are talking about from what I call their heart, their professional anecdotes, illustrations, experiences, and more about for the learners and the listeners. It's also about understanding what they've gone through in their professional journey and what they are and where they are is because of the work what they've done in the past. I would say beautiful rendition because each one of these AI Makers Unpacked series is individual, absolutely bespoke, and absolutely what I say a freewheeling conversation. We usually don't prepare all these conversations and we insist leaders to just speak from the heart. And today, we've got a very eminent and what I call eclectic AI analytic leader, Sundar Ramalingam. Sundar is the global director, AI consulting partners at NVIDIA. He spent about 7+ years over there, and in his illustrious career of more than 2 decades, he has worked in marquee organizations like HP, Tata Elxsi in the past, and Ashok Leyland in the formative years. More importantly, knowing Sundar as a friend from last few years, he's got the pulse in terms of what's happening on the technology side, specifically the exponential technologies, and how the technologies are impacting not only the enterprises but humanity as well. Welcome, Sundar, to AI Makers Unpacked series.
Thank you, Sameer. Thanks for that warm welcome and that nice introduction. Very happy to be here and looking forward to sharing my learnings with you.
Our pleasure, Sundar. So, Sundar, let me start, and our audience would really love to know about your professional journey. I mean, the first question which occurred to me while I was looking at your professional profile, this whole world of getting into, and you've done multiple stints with what I say different organizations, Tata Elxsi, HP, now with NVIDIA. Uh, was the entry for you in the world of analytics, AI, or new age technologies, as I call it, by design, or it just happened through serendipity?
It absolutely happened by an accident. Let me take a step back and try to answer your first
Sure.
question. Quickly run you through my professional journey. As you rightly pointed out, my formative years were at Ashok Leyland. I was a senior design engineer. Got into that organization through a campus interview and started earning money at 21, 22 years old. That was fun. I mean, had a lot of fun and those were my formative years. And then I quickly realized that hey, I think it's better to get some half into the IT field, and that is when I came across an opening at Tata Elxsi. Somebody who came on official work to Ashok Leyland sort of caught up with me over lunch, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come and work for me?" And I gladly accepted, and that is where I got exposed to the real IT world. And The journey has been quite interesting from then on. Many of you would know that Tata Elxsi was a very important a partner of SGI. So, and SGI also, some of you would know that they have been the pioneers when it comes to graphics and high performance computing. And that is when I got exposed to this new world of computing, accelerated computing. I was doing a pre-sales job there, and then after about 5.5 years or so, I moved into HP, Hewlett Packard, and donned multiple hats. Um, I started my HP career in India and then moved to Singapore and did a regional role there in the workstations division. And that is where I got a lot of exposure to the graphics world, the GPU world. Then it was time to come back home, and I joined NVIDIA. And that was 7 years ago, and we all know that that was precisely the time when AI was getting a rebirth. Everybody was talking about AI. Everybody was getting excited about deep learning. It just so happened that I joined NVIDIA at that point in time, and due to my passion for technology and due to the excitement that AI and deep learning offered to me, I sort of volunteered to get into this role, and it worked out well. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So the one question, and I may have parked in my mind this question towards the later part of the conversation, but It's very essential. And specifically, the reason I'm asking because technology is very fluid today, very dynamic, very fungible. And in your, I would say, numerous years of experience, you've seen that winds of change on the technology. Now, specifically, as a professional, how do you keep a track of that changing technology? How do you envisage what kind of a cutting edge trends or themes are happening? Because this is important today because a lot of workforce which is into the technology believe, okay, I do these kind of, let's say, understanding or the training around these tools and techniques and I'm done for next 5, 10 years. But that's not the case. What's been your experience about grappling with new age technology? How do you keep yourself abreast around understanding these, I would say, exponential technologies?
Couple of things: keeping my eyes and ears open all the time, being amongst the people who are leaders in this area, and ensuring that I keep myself abreast of what is happening around the world, and very importantly, the quest and the hunger to learn new things and be able to manage change. These are the things which I do to keep myself abreast of technology.
So you mentioned about the quest and hunger, but professional
Yes.
journeys usually are never static, never linear, Sundar. We've all gone through a phase where sometimes we say, okay, uh, we are done with these kind of, let's say, normal corporate kind of scenarios, or I think it's immense hours we are putting in. Can we kind of do something else? Now, from a lens of, I would say, HP and NVIDIA, we spent large stints over there. And the reason I'm asking today, I think there is a element of workforce today which believes that changing job every 15, 18 months is the norm of the day. But you've done a lot of
Right.
successful long stints. What's been
Right.
your experience, and what is that suggestion you would like to give to that workforce in terms of this long stints? Because not only you have actually gained a lot of footholds in terms of professional credentials, but you've gained a lot also in terms of understanding the sphere of technology. What's been your experience around these things, and what do you suggest to that workforce in terms of putting those long stints in the organization?
See, personally, I believe I don't believe in jumping from one organization to another organization within very short states. I really don't believe in that. And as you rightly pointed out, Sameer, I have done long stints in almost all the companies where I have worked, except for the first one. Even there, I did about 3.5 years. So my belief is that once you have gotten into an organization, it takes time for you to understand the culture offered by the organization, to understand what is the technological differentiator that the organization brings into the market, and the ability to grasp that and be able to contribute in a meaningful way to that organization takes a little time, and it takes a little time, about 6 to 7 months time. And then that is when I really start. I believe that an individual really starts contributing meaningfully to any organization. And the ability to I mean, changing organizations is change is I would say is same as changing roles. Your roles are or changing jobs inside the same organization. And if you are agile and if you are adapted to learning new things, then I believe that growing inside the organization is also not a bad option when compared to jumping from one organization to another organization. It also depends on which stage of the life that we are talking about. For
True.
young professionals, maybe they're able to find new jobs much easily, and they're able to jump from one organization to another organization much quickly when compared to people who are experienced for 15, 20 years or things like that. So it is sort of a balance that one needs to make. I am not advocating that one needs to stay in an organization forever and retire from the same organization which he or she started their career with. That is not what I'm trying to say here. But then having a stability and having a meaningful contribution to one organization by being there for a reasonable amount of time will certainly help one establish themselves as a professional, is what I believe.
Absolutely, and you rightly said that. And switching gears,
Yeah.
Sundar, uh, this whole thing around AI analytics, and you've been at the cutting edge of this evolution, and you've been also a deep learning head in your previous, I would say, a role within NVIDIA. What is your understanding about the advancements you see in AI analytics? What are some of the themes which are catching your fancy, and how do you see this evolution of AI in the next few years?
Absolutely. So the one word answer to that is deep learning. Deep
Hmm.
learning is pervasive, and today we are having this conversation. All the excitement that is happening around AI, for the excitement, all the practical adoption that has been happening in the field of AI is thanks to the advancements that happened in deep learning. Deep learning, which has been there for 20, more than 20 years now, has always been restricted to the academic institutions and research institutions. But thanks to two important advancements in technology, the availability of data, huge amounts of data, and the availability of brutal computational power from accelerated computing techniques, specifically GPUs, deep learning has become a reality, and it is a technology that is getting adopted worldwide for practical situations. It is being deployed for practical situations. Now, success begets success. We know that, right? So deep learning has carried along its cousins, the traditional machine learning and the advanced data analytics also. I mean, both of thanks to the research and advancements happening in deep learning, those things also happen simultaneously. And today, the way traditional machine learning is working has matured. Also, is tremendously different from what was like about 7 to 8 years ago. And forget machine learning or deep learning, even the way advanced data analytics happens today is much far advanced. It happens in a very accelerated way, giving far better accuracies when compared to what happened in yesteryears. So deep learning is the trigger for this revolution, and deep learning has carried along traditional machine learning and advanced data analytics with it. In the future, we all know that. I mean, stating the obvious, everything is going to be data driven. And honestly, I mean, the world is going to be very different than what we are today. The way we are going to commute to office is going to be different. The way we train ourselves is going to be different. And that there is going to be another very exciting world, a virtual world. People use multiple terms for that. People use metaverse, and things like that, virtual worlds, etc. So that is also going to change the entire perspective of our lives, what we are living today.
Absolutely well said, because metaverse and all these, I would say, Web 3.0, the blockchain and the usage scenarios will increase. And as you rightly said, underpinning is AI. And within AI, we're talking about deep learning as a part of, I would say, application area. Uh, Two linked questions on this, Sundar. You also work with many of the organizations who are trying to adopt, embrace AI. Now, and I want to take your opinion, and you also have seen a lot of these organizations following a very different approach when they adopt AI. Some of them are doing piecemeal, of them are doing POC, some of them are using as a strategic lever. What, in your experience, should be the right or a suggested or a recommended way to adopt AI at scale?
Excellent. So, as you rightly pointed out, Samir, I have worked with multitude of organizations and helped them to embrace AI as a technology. Practically, forget POCs, forget lab setups. How do I scale AI and adopt it as a practice in my enterprise? I've done a lot of work. And in my experience, those organizations that are fully committed to this transition, that are fully committed to make this happen and be ready to commit the right amount of resources. When I say resources, it is just not money, it's not just not dollars that I talk about. The blessings from the top management, the commitment from the top management, the ability to recruit the right leader, the typically the CTOs who understand AI, what it can do and what it cannot do, and be the have the courage to even accept things that it cannot do, and lay out a clear roadmap as to this is what I want to achieve in 3 months, this is what I want to achieve in 6 months, in 12 months, and 3 years from now. That the ability to lay out a roadmap and commit resources and let them practice, let them learn this new technology, and allow them the time and the resources to learn and adopt the new technology. Those organizations which have been agile and adapted to change, they are the ones who have embraced this technology successfully. Now, who are the organizations who are struggling?
Hmm.
Those organizations which just, I mean, they just want to get into it because the competitor is talking about it, everybody else is talking about it, and then they get scared. Hey, am I missing out something? The fear of missing out.
Right.
And you know what they do? I mean, I've been astonished hearing this multiple times from several people. When I say, hey, what are the resources, manpower resources you are having, and how much are you going to commit to make this journey happen? And I have received answers which say that, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out the 10 of the best employees, the best young employees, and after 5 o'clock, I'm going to let them work on this project every day. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It is not an optional thing. This is the way the world is going to move, and unless you have the full commitment and executive sponsorship and executive support for making this journey to happen, for this is not going to be successful. This is what I have learned.
Sure, sure. No, I think that's a good set of observations you gave. Alongside, there is also this fear of automations in the
Right.
displacement of jobs. But you also rightly said that automation is pervasive. I mean, it's getting into different areas, different applications, different industries. Now, from your lens, what do you see this aspect about automation versus displacement
Okay.
of jobs?
Yeah. See, one thing I firmly believe, Sameer, is that it is not that you catch up with technology. Technology catches up with you. You cannot escape. I mean, it's either today or tomorrow or 5 years from now. There is no way you can escape. Technology catches up with you, and it's not that you catch up with technology. So, what happens is that will there be some displacement of jobs? Yes, it will be there. But what will happen is in a few years from now, the skill sets that people will acquire, the courses that colleges and universities will offer, will adapt to this change so that people who are coming out of universities and colleges would have started learning something very different than what they have been doing so far in the traditional sense of the word. That is on the young kids who are passing out from the university. How about experienced people? People who have 10 years experience, 15 years experience, 20 years experienced. Once again, my strong recommendation is that please be open to change and please be ready to embrace new technologies. Please be ready to learn new technologies and commit yourselves to doing that. And those who are able to do that will certainly become successful and they'll be able to embrace this change. I also know that it is easier said than done. It's easier to preach these things, but it may not always be feasible to adopt it for everybody. So there will be some disruption because there is too much of automation. Several of the human jobs or will be done by machines. So that is that is something undesirable to put it in simple terms. But I don't think there is a choice there.
I like the word what
Unfortunately,
you said. Technology catches up with you rather than you catching up with the technology. Of course,
yeah,
we are all living in a Moore's law, and Moore's law redefined because 18 months also looks like a longer period in terms of the changes and the shifts what we are seeing.
right.
So yeah, that's very well said, Sundar. One aspect, and this is an aspect which I ask everyone in this Unpacked series, is when you work in corporates, you got to manage your bosses, you've got to manage your higher ups, and importantly also the stakeholders are not, I would say, in the corporate ecosystem, the stakeholders outside, the vendors, I mean some other set of, I would say, people you interact with. Now, I always believe there is a way one needs to manage stakeholders, higher ups, I would say different, I would say corporate professionals you deal with. What, in your view, you have embraced or learned over the years in terms of managing the stakeholders?
Well, I mean, it is, in my way, it is quite simple, Sameer. Just put in hard work. I mean, hard work really helps. I have learned it, I've learned it throughout my journey. Just work hard and be honest to your job. I mean, even after you have, let's say, resigned from a particular job until the last day you are employed with that company, be productive for that company, even when you are serving the notice period. Be sincere and honest and hardworking, and all the stakeholders will like you, whether it is peers or whether it is the management team or the people who are working for you. So long as you are honest and hardworking, they will get managed, is what I feel. I mean, of course, views will differ from individual to individual here. I don't think once you have these attributes in you, which once again hardworking capacity and the ability to deliver what you have promised. There is no special technique or special methodology needed to manage the stakeholders around you, is what I feel.
Sure. Hard work, diligence is the key, as you rightly said.
Right.
More importantly, over the Sundar, and this is for, I would say, a young generational, I would say, workforce, the what we call millennials and Gen Z. Uh, Usually, the kind of observation they have that they are doing multiple set of learning programs, different, I would say, courses, and they always say, okay, what is the best course or a program in analytics, AI, data science? Uh, you've seen also a lens from the academia side, H. Where do you see these gaps today in terms of academia versus corporates? I mean, is it a gap which is more to do with the programs not being contemporary? Is it got to do with the faculty not updated? Is it got to do with industries not contributing much? What do you where do you see these gaps when it comes to analytics AI professionals or aspirants not getting to the stage what we always believe should be in terms of the numbers?
Sure. The ability to increase your skill set in AI analytics, or for that matter, in any domain, has two distinct steps. This is what I keep telling. I mean, this question has been posed to me multiple times. Two distinct steps. Number
Sure.
one, get your basics right. Ensure, I mean, what is an algorithm? What, I mean, in traditional machine learning, there are so many algorithms there. What is the basis of the algorithm? How they are created? What is the science behind those algorithms being written? Ensure that you are thorough in that area. Then the frameworks, all the modern tools, the software, etc., those are all tools for deploying the algorithm. I've seen a lot of youngsters spending a lot of time and resources to learn the tools, but not having an understanding of the basics of it. So that is not going to happen. It's important that you learn the tools. I'm not discounting that, but ensure that your basics are right. You understand the fundamentals of computer engineering and software engineering. Once you have a grip of that, learning a tool, if you are joining a good organization or an education institution, or a good program that offers you training on the tools, then that's very very logical, very easy to adopt. So that is something which I would advise. To answer your specific question, what is the gap today? There are a couple of gaps. Private universities specifically are quite adept in terms of embracing new technologies. That's what I have seen. With the exception of a few, several of the regular government universities, they take quite a bit of time to change the curriculum, to change the syllabus and adopt new technology. And typically, I've seen, I'm not talking about everybody, but many of them lagging behind in terms of what they offer as the curriculum to the students than what is being needed in the industry.
Hmm.
And this naturally, mm, it percolates down to the faculty members also, who are more adapted to teaching the traditional ways, traditional methodologies, and they themselves are not fully updated on what is happening in the technology world and what is happening, what is needed in the industry. So the ability to change the curriculum by government institutions also to keep in pace with what is needed in the industry, and very importantly, the ability of the faculty also to undergo retraining, to be in touch with technology and update themselves. These are things which will ensure that the students who pass out of universities are fully equipped with what is needed in the industry. And that is a gap that I have been seeing today.
Fantastic, fantastic. Some quick rapid fire questions, Sundar. Uh, any professional regrets so far?
And none.
Anything which you would like to, if you are allowed to go back and ask yourself that, okay, if I have to correct thing in your professional career, what that would be?
Maybe I should have joined an MNC much before, and I took like I don't know 8.5, 9 years to get into an MNC. I should have done that earlier.
What's your professional aspirations as you move forward for next 3 to 5 years, more in terms of professional aspirations?
To run a team which is going to work on multiple aspects of AI, multiple aspects, because this world is so exciting. The AI world is so exciting, and technology excites me a lot. I mean, that's my passion. To run a team that helps customers establish AI as a practice. Now, today, HR is a practice, finance is a practice, IT is a practice. Can AI become a practice that permeates across enterprises, across organizations? Yes, answer is yes, but a lot of work needs to be done for that. And I want to run a team which works with these organizations and helps these organizations to establish AI as a practice. That's what I want to achieve.
Great. Another question. Two candidates could be for any role you're picking up, and this is hypothetical. Two candidates bringing the same kind of an experience, same almost the credentials in terms of qualification. Both score well in the interview, but you got to decide for one of them. What attribute you'll pick up in terms of one versus another?
The one who comes across as as a person who is not let me just give me a sec. Let me just think about it. I mean, if
Yeah.
other things being equal, I would pick up a person who comes across as somebody who is sincere and hardworking, with who doesn't carry a chip on his or her shoulder. I would rather pick him up than who comes with some boisterous, bombastic personality. So between the two, that's how I would pick. Yeah.
Great. The future of technology, metaverse, Web 3.0, uh, crypto, blockchain, cybersecurity. Which one out of these, and maybe you can pick up two, you believe have immense potential in terms of changing the humanity, please?
I certainly believe that the virtual worlds which we have started talking about now, I mean, people use the term metaverse also for that, is going to change the way we have been living. It's going to change humanity, to borrow your words, Sami. So, I mean, sometimes when you think about it, the possibilities, it's a little scary also. So that is, the virtual world, the future virtual world is going to adopt two very important technologies. Number one is AI, deep learning assisted, very advanced rendering and visualization. So whatever we are having today in the current world, if it can be simulated in a virtual world, and once you look at the virtual world, once you enter the virtual world, you won't even be able to understand whether you are in the real world or in the virtual world. From the experience, from the immersiveness, from haptic feedback, also those things may happen in the future. As to when you touch a table, do you feel the pressure on your fingers and things like that? When you hold a steering wheel, can you feel the steering wheel? When you apply the brake in the virtual world, can you still feel the feedback coming to your feet? Things like that, the haptic feedback. All those things are going to be offered in the virtual world. And soon there will be, I mean, when I say soon, it's going to take several years from now. We are not there yet, but there will be a journey which will lead us to a place where you will not even be able to differentiate whether you are in a real world or a virtual world. And very importantly, the virtual world is just not going to look like real, it is going to behave like real also. I repeat, it's just not going to look like real, it is going to behave like real also. Looking like real will be taken care by very advanced visualization and rendering techniques, and behaving like real will be taken care by AI techniques. So, using deep learning, using multiple AI techniques, you'll be able to predict how a virtual model is going to behave and ensure that the virtual model behaves the way how a human entity, a living human entity, is supposed to behave. So there is a lot of AI is going to go into this. So an amalgamation, an exciting amalgamation of advanced rendering and visualization and very advanced AI techniques is what is going to build a virtual world. And this is going to change a lot from transportation to healthcare, to conversational AI, to trainings, to simulators, everything is going to be driven by a virtual world in a few years from now.
Wonderful. Sundar, over the last 30 minutes, I was immersed in terms of the facets you brought to the table. As we always say, the best comes out when it's a freewheeling conversation, and that's exactly what it's meant out to be. A very succinct, very kind of a crisp, responsive, but very deep in terms of the insights and intelligence what you provided as part of I would say, to our audience and all. It was a pleasure talking to you. And for the audience, let me also tell you that Sundar packs a punch when it comes to talking about, and you could see his excitement, his eyes gleaming. Anything to do with the exponential new age technology, I think he's a go to person. And we usually leverage him for his expert opinion. And that's exactly what came out. Thank you so much for your time, Sundar. Really appreciate. And this is the end for the AI Makers Unpacked series with Sundar Ramalingam. This is brought to you by 3AI, India's largest platform for AI analytics leaders, professionals, and aspirants. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, Sundar, again.
Thank you very much, Sameer. It was my pleasure and privilege to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much.